India made a thunderous start to 2024 as the Indian Space Research Organization ISRO successfully launched X-ray polarimeter satellite, that is XPOSat, from the first launch pad at Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. The launch of the XPOSat marks India's first satellite launch in 2024 and comes after Chandrayaan-3 and Aditya L1 mission by the Indian Space Department. Now, this is India's first dedicated polarimetry mission to study the dynamics of bright astronomical X-ray sources in extreme conditions. XPOSat stands as the world's second X-ray polarimeter mission, following NASA's launch of the Imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer in December 2021. ISRO Chief S. Somnath said the launch of the mission was a success.
The orbit that has been accomplished, which is available through various routes, it shows excellent orbit, and the deviations from the targeted orbit is hardly just 3 kilometers in circular orbit of 650 kilometer, and inclination is 001 degree, which is one of the very excellent orbital condition. And yet another announcement is the solar panel of the satellite also has been deployed successfully.
After the successful launch of PSLV, DD India correspondent Ritesh Ranjan had a word with ISRO Chief S. Somnath. Let's listen in.
Beginning of the new year 2024, there is a big launch happened in ISRO. So and you were saying that this launch is to study this black hole. For a layman, how can we understand that, how we are going to study this black hole and X-rays polarization?
See, layman also nowadays knows black hole. So
what is inside that?
I also don't know.
Mystery.
See, the problem is that even scientists also don't know black hole. We know theoretically there is something called black hole. Every star ultimately will die and become either a pulsar or a neutron star or a black hole. So we know today, and great scientist called Chandrasekhar, Subramanian Chandrasekhar, has theoretically found out all of this many years back. After that, there has been a lot of experiments to understand and measure black holes. There has been further theories. Black holes will not remain always eating and big. It will also die one day. There is another theory, which again came from various other findings, recent findings. So there is a lot of interest on black holes. It speaks about the universe and its creation, its evolution, change, etc. So we need to study about black holes. So this is an Indian contribution to study black holes.
So in year 2024, you said there are a lot of more launch, 12 to 14 launches going to take place. And among that, what is another one is joint with ISRO and NASA.
NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar satellite that is getting ready. That will be launched this year.
And what all more important satellite launches there?
There are many more, and the most important focus is on completing Gaganyaan development programs. So for that, a lot of unmanned missions are. At least 2 unmanned missions we have to target this year, and also test missions for demonstrating the crew abort and crew escape system.
And what about manned missions, sir? When are you planning for that?
If you are able to complete all of them successfully, manned mission will take place in 2025.
And the BRICS alliance is set to expand as 5 new member countries join in 2024, ushering in a new era of economic cooperation and influence. The newcomers include Egypt, Ethiopia, along with energy powerhouses Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates and Iran. DD India correspondent Jessica Taneja has more details.
A coalition of 5 major economies, including Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, is steadily enhancing its influence, offering a formidable challenge to the established Western architectural norms.
BRICS will be breaking barriers, revitalizing economies, inspiring innovation, creating opportunities, and shaping the future.
It recently gained 5 new member countries: Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Now, with Middle East oil behemoths on board, this larger coalition includes 3 of the world's top oil exporters, making up a significant 42% of the global oil supply. With 40% of the world's population, BRICS countries have outpaced G7 nations in their economic clout, as gauged by purchasing power parity. Contrary to popular belief, the entire bloc is not anti-Western. India's refusal to be drawn into a contest of competing global powers has been reiterated many times before, and BRICS is no exception.
For India, when we confront a largely Western-created architecture. Obviously, we would like to encourage and facilitate and induce and pressurize changes which are badly needed. But it is done to add a non-Western layer and a input. So I make this very important distinction where India is concerned. India is non-Western. India is not anti-Western.
Despite varying opinions and approaches among BRICS members on security and military issues, they find common ground in advocating for de-dollarization and are united in their focus in bolstering infrastructure to enhance the use of local currencies. And as we enter 2024, expect the world to become more multipolar and make room for middle powers to take center stage. Jessica Thaneja for DD India.
Let's get you an update on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, both Ukraine and Russia accused each other of New Year's attacks. According to Russian installed official, Ukraine's shelling of the city of Donetsk in early New Year's Day hours killed 4 people and injured 14 others, while Ukrainian officials said at least 1 person was killed in Russia's air attack on Odessa. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia's air attack also targeted the Mykolaiv and Dnipro regions. Let's get you an update on Russia-Ukraine. More updates on the conflict now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine had become stronger in overcoming serious difficulties as the war against Russia moves towards its second year on Monday.
Everyone has something to smile about because it worked out, and everyone has something to cry over because of losses. Each of us fought, worked, waited, helped, lived, and hoped this year in our own way. Everyone. But everyone will find something common to all Ukrainians this year. The major result of the year, its main achievement. Ukraine has become stronger. Ukrainians grew stronger.
Russian President Vladimir Putin made only passing reference in his New Year address to the war in Ukraine on Sunday, hailing his soldiers as heroes, but mostly emphasizing unity and shared determination.
Уважаемые граждане России.
On today, I would like to address our military personnel, everyone who is at the combat post, at the forefront of the fight for truth and justice. You are our heroes. Our hearts are with you. We are proud of you and admire your courage. I know that now you feel the love of your closest, dearest relatives, the powerful, sincere support of millions of Russian citizens, the support of the entire nation.
We're heading for a short break on DD India News Hour, but after the break, we tell you, with no respite likely in near future, Hamas and Israel intensify attacks against each other even as the world steps into the new year. Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi re-elected for a second term. And US weather conditions expected to worsen, winter storm and blizzard warnings issued.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political, and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's get you more international updates. The United States Navy says that it has sunk 3 boats operated by Iran-backed Houthi militants after they fired at a commercial ship in the Red Sea. CENTCOM said that 4 boats originating from Houthi-controlled areas in Yemen fired at and attempted to board the container vessel. Navy helicopters from the USS Eisenhower and Gravely arrived on the scene and were also shot at, so they fired back in self-defense, sinking 3 of the 4 small boats and killing their crew members. Our US correspondent Jagruti Dave has more on what the incident might mean for security in the region.
Well, there are concerns that this exchange of fire between the United States Navy and the Houthi militants is going to escalate the situation in the Red Sea. Many commercial vessels had been avoiding the route and taking longer trajectories around Africa, around the coast of Africa, to their destinations, which was significantly increasing the cost of shipping. This is a real worry for commercially, but also for security purposes. The United States spokesperson for the White House said that they are going to act in self-defense going forward. US CENTCOM said that they shot down 3 of the 4 boats in self-defense after the boats launched fire towards the US helicopters. So this is possibly one of the first direct engagements between the United States and Houthi militants in the Red Sea since October the 7th, when Hamas and Israel began their conflict. There are real worries about what this could mean in terms of an escalation, but also, the United States is coming under pressure from Israel to do more against Houthi militants, but also this could complicate efforts of a negotiation between Saudi Arabia and Houthi militants for Saudi Arabia to reduce its involvement in the war in Yemen. There are a lot of considerations that the White House is currently having to make as it tries to engage in the Red Sea. There's a US-led coalition that's navigating those seas to try to step up security of commercial vessels. But this clearly has implications for the war, for security issues in the Middle East, but also for commercial shipping worldwide. So clearly this is something that that politicians, but also that commercial enterprises are going to be watching at a situation very, very closely indeed. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington reporting for DD India.
Let's get to an update on Israel-Hamas conflict now. Hamas terrorists fired a barrage of rockets into central Israel at the stroke of midnight, triggering silence throughout the central and southern parts of the country. Earlier on December 31st, Israeli jets intensified attacks on central Gaza, residents and medics said, as battles raged through the rubble of towns and refugee camps in a war Israeli Prime Minister says would take many more months to end. The Israeli army released footage of the Oquet's unit combat dogs helping to scan locations for threats, map houses, locate weapons and explosives. A dog named Patrick could be seen in the footage scanning a location, detecting and attacking what the Israeli army said was a Hamas terrorist. Oquet's dogs belong to the Israeli army's canine unit, and each dog is trained to attack, detecting explosives and also help in search and rescue. Friends of a Hamas hostage organized a dance class in her honor in Tel Aviv's Hosted Square on Sunday. Romy Gonen, a dancer and choreographer, was kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th at the Nova Rave Festival in south of Israel. The release of the hostages, as well as the end of the war between Israel and Hamas, were at the top of the attendees and spectators' wishes for New Year's Eve. Changing track now, Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi has been re-elected for the second term in a December 20th poll. The declaration of the result follows days of opposition complaints about the way the election was conducted. Tshisekedi obtained more than 13 million out of over 18 million valid votes. Cheers erupted from Tshisekedi's supporters present at the declaration after Kadima announced that Tshisekedi was provisionally elected. Speaking to hundreds who gathered at his campaign headquarters after the announcement, Tshisekedi thanked supporters and promised to speed up programs during his second term to tackle inequalities. Giant waves and choppy waters in coastal California over the weekend prompted evacuation orders amid fears of flooding. In Manhattan Beach, the pier remained closed as waves as high as 20 feet slammed into the shoreline. Residents in coastal communities were warned to stay off beaches and coastal roadways. The National Weather Service in Los Angeles forecast significant flooding in low-lying coastal areas with powerful waves and strong rip current, posing a risk of drowning and damage to structures. Denmark's Queen Margaret II, Europe's longest-serving monarch, will abdicate on January 14th after 52 years at the throne, and she will be succeeded by her eldest son, Crown Prince Frederick. The 83-year-old queen, who ascended the throne in 1972, made the surprise announcement on live television during her traditional New Year's Eve speech. The Queen became the longest-serving monarch in Europe following the death of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. In July, she became the longest-serving monarch in Denmark's history. Russians were not able to see New Year fireworks on the Red Square and also in many cities across the country as the authorities decided to save money and send it to the front lines in Ukraine. The step was also in solidarity with the incident of Belgorod, where at least 24 people, including children, have died after a Ukrainian strike. Dasha Chernyshyova has more from Moscow.
New Year celebrations in Russian cities have been scaled back, with fireworks cancelled and decorations not as lavish as they used to be. All the money saved from that will go to the needs of Russia's so-called special military operation in Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin, in his New Year address to the Russians, said that Moscow will have to go forward and create the future. The 4-minute-long video was first released in Kamchatka, that is first among Russia's regions to celebrate New Year. Putin's address was traditionally recorded in front of the Kremlin walls. The head of the country addressed Russians, the military and families of those fighting in the special military operation in Ukraine. Celebrations have been marred with the tragedy in Belgorod, where at least 24 people have died as a result of a Ukrainian strike against city center. Moscow said the West is complicit in what it described as an act of terrorism. Dasha Chernyshyova in Moscow, reporting for DD India.
Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina inaugurated free textbook distribution for secondary students in 2024 on the eve of New Year. The Premier handed over books to pre-primary, primary and secondary students. The government has taken necessary steps to distribute nearly 30 crore copies of new textbooks worth over 1,400 crore taka among the students this year. The textbooks have already been sent to every school in the country. The distribution is set to commence officially across the country in the new year. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen said on Monday that Taiwan's relations with China must be decided by the will of the people and peace must be based on dignity. She also said that maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is the responsibility of both the sides. Her comments came after China's leader Xi Jinping said reunification with the island is inevitable. Asked about Xi's speech at a New Year's press conference at the presidential office in Taipei, Tsai said the most important principle on what course to follow on relations with China was democracy. Pakistan's election body, the Election Commission of Pakistan, has rejected former Prime Minister Imran Khan's nomination to contest the 2024 national elections in 2 constituencies. Pakistan's top poll body rejected nomination papers of Imran Khan and most of his supporters. Khan, who has been embroiled in political and legal battles since his ousting as Prime Minister in April 2022, filed nomination papers despite being disqualified due to a corruption conviction. The commission cited his lack of voter registration and disqualification as reasons for rejection. Also, Imran Khan claims he is being targeted by the military, but they deny this. Venice is set to impose a ban on loudspeakers as well as large tourist groups exceeding more than 25 people in a bid to ease the impact of mass tourism on the Italian city. The new rules will come into effect from June, the city said in a statement. Over-tourism is widely recognized as an urgent issue for the canal city, one of the most visited places in Europe. More and more residents in Venice are choosing to leave, fearing that tourists could overwhelm the historic island city. The rules are applicable to the city centre as well as islands of Murano, Burano and Torcello. Amongst the 18 migrants Spain rescued by helicopter near the Canary Islands, 3 of them were dead. Spain's Coast Guard on Sunday took the 15 survivors to La Restinga port in El Hierro. Another group of 99 migrants was rescued overnight and brought to El Hierro. Up to 14,000 migrants arrived there against a population of just 11,000. A record 40,000 migrants have reached the archipelago this year on fragile boats from West Africa. The archipelago's 7 islands have become the main destination for migrants from Senegal and other African countries trying to reach Spain, fleeing conflict or seeking a better life. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un told the country's military commanders the most powerful means must be mobilized to destroy the United States and South Korea if they choose military confrontation. He blamed maneuvers by the US and other enemies, which would require North Korea to sharpen the sword to protect itself. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz visited parts of northern Germany on Sunday, hit by floods after days of heavy rains. Scholz began his visit with a helicopter flight over the flooded area, accompanied by Lower Saxony's Minister Premier. Scholz praised the emergency services, representatives of the authorities and citizens whom he said showed solidarity. Days of rain as well as melting snow had left parts of several regions, including the western state of North Rhine-Westphalia, as well as the eastern states of Saxony and Thuringia underwater. No fatality has been reported in the latest bout of floods, but new rains are expected in the next few days, provoking fears that dikes could be breached. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. 6 people died after a horrific accident in India's eastern state of Jharkhand on Monday. 2 others were injured. A total of 8 people were traveling in the car, which went uncontrolled. Parts of Jammu and Kashmir reeled under cold wave conditions today as minimum temperatures across the valley stayed several degrees below the freezing point. Srinagar recorded a low of minus 5.2 degrees Celsius. South Indian superstar Rajnikant extended New Year's greetings to his fans after they gathered outside his residence in Chennai. Let's get to sports updates now. Dynamic Australian opener David Warner has decided to conclude his one-day international cricket career. This before his farewell test against Pakistan this week. However, he hasn't ruled out the possibility of participating in the 2025 Champions Trophy if the need arises. Also, the 2024 sporting calendar is set to be dominated by huge, big 4 events: Euro 2024, Olympics, Paralympics, and also the T20 World Cup. Up next, we'll get you a rundown of the leading events in 2024.
2023 was a massive year for sports with several major sporting events taking place, including the Cricket World Cup, Rugby World Cup, FIFA Women's World Cup, and Men's Hockey World Cup. However, if you thought that was massive, just wait until you see what 2024 has in store for you. 2024 brings with it some of the most prestigious and most watched sporting events in the world. Here is a rundown of the leading sports events in 2024. 15th to 28th January, tennis, Australian Open, Melbourne Park. 25th to 11th March, cricket, India vs England 5-match test series. 2nd to 18th February, aquatics, World Championships, Doha. 12th May, football, Women's FA Cup Final, Wembley Stadium. 22nd May, football, Europa League Final at Dublin Arena. 25th May, football, FA Cup Final at Wembley Stadium. 26th May to 9th June, tennis, French Open, Roland Garros, Paris. 29th May, football, Europa Conference League Final, Athens. 1st June, football, Champions League Final at Wembley Stadium. 4th to 30th June, cricket, Men's T20 World Cup, hosts USA and West Indies. 14th June to 14th July, football, Euro 2024 in Germany. 26th July to 11th August, Olympic Games in Paris. 26th August to 8th September, tennis, US Open at Flushing Meadows in New York. 28th August to 8th September, Paralympic Games in Paris. Narayan Singh's report for DD India.
4 times Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka looked solid on her return to elite tennis after 15 months out as she beat Germany's Tamara Korchbach in the first round of Brisbane International on Monday. Osaka displayed no signs of trust to break Korchbach to love in her first game back, and the former world number 1 turned up the heat again towards the end of the opening set to close it out in 38 minutes with a sizzling forehand winner. The 26-year-old from Japan last competed on tour at the Pan Pacific Open in Tokyo in September 2022 and had her first child in July before stepping up her preparations for the January 14 to 28 Australian Open. President of India has extended warm New Year greetings to all. In a social media post, she said, and I quote her, "May the year 2024 bring happiness, peace and prosperity for everyone. Let us welcome the new year with renewed commitment to contribute to inclusive and sustainable development." Prime Minister Narendra Modi also extended New Year greetings to the nation and wished joy and good health to everyone. In a post on social media platform X, the Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "Wishing everyone a splendid 2024. May this year bring forth prosperity, peace and wonderful health for all." We now take a look at some spectacular glimpses of New Year celebrations from across the globe.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! 新年快乐！我们的时代表。
On that note of celebration, we end this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.